Hello again, Tara McNamara. Thanks so much for being with me here tonight on TCM.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We just showed Night Nurse from 1931, a pre-code film that tackles the issue of alcoholism. Now we're going to talk about probably one of the most famous films ever to deal with this topic, The Lost Weekend from 1945, directed by Billy Wilder and starring Ray Milland in an Oscar-winning performance. This is a movie that so viscerally takes us all through this issue, but it's different from the portrayal of alcoholism that we saw in Night Nurse. What do you think is so interesting about how it's done in this film?
Well, there's definitely nothing good about alcoholism in either film, but in Night Nurse, there is an element of glamour to drinking. We see that these wealthy partygoers are partying every night and they're glamorous and they're having fun, and they're smashed, right?
Right.
So even though the main character there is a kind of a horrible person because of her drinking, you're still like, I don't know, I think I might want to drink.
All right.
You do not want to drink after seeing The Lost Weekend. You don't want to drink again.
No, and Ray Milland is a writer who is on this weekend-long bender to the dismay of everyone in his life. Jane Wyman plays a great supporting role in this film. But yes, it takes you through this weekend in a way that teaches you as an audience member, if you drink, you will be miserable. If you drink, you will be ridiculed and thrown out of a nightclub. All of these horrible things will happen to you, unlike the fabulous parties that we saw in the previous film.
So Charles Brackett's novel was very popular. Billy Wilder had picked it up on a train and read it twice by the time he was done and knew that he was not only going to make it, that it was going to win awards, and he was right. And Joseph Breen's reaction, because he also knew the novel, was like, I don't think so. But then he realized that there could be a very positive story to be told, exactly what happens. And so that's why he allows it to go forward.
Yeah, and there's one line that you take note of where someone speaking about the Ray Milland character says he's a sick person. And I think that's really what is the driving force here, that this is a man who is constantly chasing happiness, never finding it, and it's because of this issue in his life and this illness.
It's a very grim portrayal. In World War II, all of the thoughts that there was some honor in being sober went out the window. Soldiers were returning, trying to deal with everything they saw. So turning to the bottle was an option, and this was a perfect movie at the perfect time.
When you watch this film, obviously because they want to present this issue of alcoholism in a negative light, there's so many interesting ways that the filmmakers decide to bring that feeling across. If you focus on Miklos Rosa's score, which is so disorienting and does a great amount of the work in bringing across that feeling of dread and negativity. There's so many interesting things. All of the dialogue is great. The direction from Billy Wilder, there's just so much to appreciate in this film.
It turns out magnificently. Of course, there were some changes that were required. So Joseph Breen, who was in charge of administering the code at the time, he did ask that Dawn's friend Gloria from the bar not be so evidently a prostitute.
Okay.
And he actually suggested she be a buyer who entertains clients from out of town. And so thus she is.
Okay.
And then some of the censor boards did have an issue with certain things, like when Dawn is in the hospital, he has the DTs and he has this hallucination of nature at its worst. It's pretty gruesome. And so some areas required that to be cut out. Also, Dawn does, like he's in a nightclub, he needs a drink and he steals a purse. That was too much for Pennsylvania. So there were different things that just weren't acceptable by different areas, but mostly it is a masterpiece.
And then, without giving too much away, how does the ending compare from the book to the film?
Drastically different.
Okay.
And that was what everybody knew. They thought when they were going to make the film, they're like, there's no way they're going to keep the ending, because the ending has Don pour himself a glass, take a drink, pour more, go to bed, set it down next to him. In the book. In the
movie's
book.
A little different.
They were not, you can't end that way. And the ending was controversial.
Well, it's such a powerful film. Let's take a look. From 1945, the Best Picture Oscar winner, directed by Billy Wilder and starring Ray Milland, The Lost Weekend.